Hello ladies from Ladies Wine and Design. My name's Nikky Lyle and I am a creative recruiter and founder of Nikky Lyle Creative. I also do, aside from recruitment, where I've got 7 years experience working with graphic designers and visualisers, both on a freelance and permanent basis. I also do lots of industry stuff. So I judge for D&AD. I've done some mentoring for them in the past. This year, I'm the president judge for the side hustle category for them. And I've also done mentoring in the past for women for Closing the Gap. And I've been on a panel discussion for Ladies Wine and Design, which was the Money Talks session, which was lots of fun. So today I'm going to talk to you about furlough and universal credit, and hopefully just bring a bit of clarity to some people that are just a bit confused as to what it is, what it's about, how it applies to you. I'll run through what it means from a permanent sense as a freelancer. So I've also spoken to my accountant about all of this and made sure that I was just up to date with everything, because of course with coronavirus the government have been trying to rapidly respond to ways in which they can support us, and there's been some things that weren't being considered that are being, and etc. So I'll run through all of those with you for this session, and hopefully you'll find it quite useful. And if anyone has any other additional questions, just let me know and I will try and answer them for you in my spare time when I can grab a minute. Okay, so initially, what is furlough? So it's a series of measures that the government created to cover the wages of millions of people that were suddenly left without work, and to prevent businesses going bankrupt during the crisis. So what the job retention scheme enables is businesses to continue paying part of their employees' salaries who would otherwise have been made redundant because of the crisis. So the government are covering 80% of all salaries up to $22,500 a month. Okay, so if you're being furloughed by your employer, it means that there's not enough work there. It's just easing the pressure of your company a little bit while they get to grips with what's been going on. It only applies for employed PAYE people, okay? So it does not apply if you are sole trader or self-employed. You've got something else that works for you. So the first step is you need to have an agreement between yourself and your employer that they're going to furlough you, okay? So your employer can either pay the remaining 20% of your wages, although they're not obliged to do so. So that's something that you agree with them if they're going to top up your salary. And you will still continue to pay income tax and national insurance contributions whilst you're on furlough. You can also be furloughed if you're on a 0-hour contract, okay? So if you're on a flexible contract or employed by an agency, and this applies to workers who have been employed for less than a year. But if you started work only in February, your employer will pro-rata your earnings from that month. But if you started on working on the 28th of February or after, you're not eligible. So I'm not sure what the current status of that really is at the moment. But as it stands, employees can be furloughed from a minimum of 3 weeks up to 3 months, although the government may look to extend that if needed. Who can apply? Any company can apply, including charities, recruitment companies, public authorities, but the government doesn't expect public sector organisations to apply, as a majority of public sector employees are continuing to provide essential services during this time. If you have been furloughed, okay, you can find temporary work elsewhere to earn extra money. This is something you need to discuss with your employer though, because obviously if your employer is topping up your earnings some way and then you're trying to make money somewhere else, that might not go down too well. So it's on a case-by-case basis where you need to run it by them. avoid things like conflict of interest and anything like that, yeah, you can work. You could go out picking fruit in the fields if you wanted to, or work in a supermarket, or anything else during this time whilst you're being furloughed. So if you are the only employee of your own limited company, then your company can furlough you. Okay, so you can't furlough yourself, but your company will furlough you. Okay, which is you furloughing yourself for your company, right? So what you need to do is write a letter to yourself, marking that moment that you decided that you were going to furlough, your company was going to furlough you. Sorry, I've been corrected a few times by my accountant about the terminology of this, but yeah, your company is furloughing you as the one employee. Okay, it is worth noting you cannot do any work whilst your company has furloughed you. You can't pick up the phone to a client, you can't send an email, or engage in any commercial activity at all that in the long run is going to make your business money. Okay, so if you are furloughing, if your company is furloughing you, that's something to consider, and you need to be really honest with yourself and about the fact that if in the long run this is going to be really damaging for you, and if you can somehow keep yourself going by having some sort of financial income while you try and keep your own brand going and your own studio going in some way, shape or form. Okay, so that's one thing that I would really consider. Whilst you are furloughed, you can apply for universal credit at the same time. One thing that my accountant told me today is there is no harm going on the Gov UK website and just playing around with the universal credit tab. You're not committing to anything, you're not going to get in trouble. Just have a click through. They take everything into consideration, so it's a real case by case basis. So you're not eligible for universal credit if you've got £16,000 worth of savings, okay? And the universal credit is far more favourable towards people that are paying rent or have children or are single and don't have a partner that is also generating a financial contribution to the household. So for instance, if you are in a partnership with somebody where you have a mortgage and that person still has an income of some sort, or you both have joint savings that are of a certain level, then universal credit isn't really going to be something that you can apply for. Okay, that's something to think about, but do go on the website and just look at all the options and make an application. When you used to apply to universal credit, what would happen at the end is they would then direct you to the job centre where they would set up like a meeting. That has actually been taken off the official website because of the amount of people applying for universal credit. So yeah, as I said, just because it's a case by case basis, you need to go on there and fill out everything that applies to you as to if you're eligible for it. Another question is about umbrella companies. If you have been, doing your tax for an umbrella company, if you're eligible. In the beginning, the government was saying, I'm in an RN. No, I'm not sure. Now you are. Okay, so your company can furlough you if you're, running through an umbrella company. So that's something to look into. Some people have asked me, what am I doing? Like, what's my personal situation? I have decided to not get my company to furlough me because for me personally, I want to keep engaging with all of you, creating content. I'm catching up with creatives and clients all the time, and I wouldn't be able to do that if I was furloughed. Okay, and for additional income, I have been working as a support worker a few hours a week that is how I'm getting by, really. So there's all new announcements happening all the time, really, with kind of support from the government. But as it stands, furlough has been extended until June, and there is a high possibility that they will also extend it until July, and that they will keep extending it however long they need to. Okay. Also, I've been asked that if you have been furloughed, do you have a job to go back to? That's down to your employer, really. It all depends how they're affected by this, financially, how stable they are, if they've got any potential for work coming through that's going to stabilise them, where they will need some staff to come back and work full time. And it's really important that you don't do any work for your employer as well. Okay, so if you are furloughed, you're furloughed. Okay, there's none of this, oh, can you jump on this project for us, or can you do this, or can you do that? No, if they have furloughed you, that's part of the deal. Okay, so that's one thing to consider. One thing that my accountant advised me is, because I am a small business, that the banks are actually giving out loans. And the exact phrase that he used that I'm going to reference is, the governments have been underwriting loans for up to £50,000 for small businesses. So these are interest-free loans for up to 12 months. Okay, so it's going to be fairly easy to get your hands on a £20,000 loan from the bank. £50 loan, yeah, the government is supporting that even more so. So if you're, say, a small photography company that can't go out on shoots, or a fashion business that can't manufacture, or, you know, there's so many things to consider here where the banks are going to be very generous with loans for now. So that's something that he's told me to have a think about, if it's something that I need, which I don't at the moment, luckily, but I might consider that in the future. Okay, just even sometimes if you just make the claim and you just have the money there as a backup. I think that's it, really. So yeah, I would just like to end this video by saying that I hope this gave you all the information that you needed. If you do have any other questions relating to furlough or universal credit, feel free to comment on the Facebook page, and when I get a spare minute, I'll try and answer them for you. Take care, everybody. All the best. Hang on in there. If as the minute I have more news, I will be updating stuff on my own YouTube channel and my Instagram, which is Nikky Lyle Creative.